Hello, dear listeners. It's me, Lily. Just me. I'm here quickly to give a little note at the top of this episode because James and I are not bringing you new episodes this week or next week. Unfortunately, sometimes life gets in the way of us doing our favorite thing, which is recording this podcast. And so rather than miss another week, as I know we did a couple of weeks ago, we thought, why not re-release a couple of old episodes? We've recently been talking quite a lot about Heat because we're very excited about the prospect of Michael Mann coming back with Heat 2. So for those of you who haven't seen Heat, or maybe have but missed our chat, this was one of our first recordings. I believe it was our 7th episode. So recorded 3 years ago. And I'm very pleased to say our audio quality and our editing, and I think our presenting has improved a lot since then. But it's still a very fun chat, and given that we've had Heat in mind, we thought it would be nice to bring back this episode for you guys to enjoy. So here it is.
I remember watching it the first time thinking, is he wearing a wig? He must be wearing a wig. But no, his hair is just very wiggy anyway. Welcome to Groovy Movies. My name is Lily Austin.
And my name's James Brailsford, and today we're going to talk about a film that I suggested, and it was actually the very first film we discussed together. But we've since got better at doing these podcasts, and we just thought, you know what, we can do better. So I don't want to mislead you and think this is our first chat,
And me pretending I've never seen it before.
Exactly, but it's a film that I've got not complex, but I've been on a journey with the film myself, and I just thought it was a good film for us to talk about.
Oh, I want to hear about that journey. I'm slightly sad that we're not releasing that episode because there are a few high points, such as my Al Pacino my Al Pacino butt impression. She's got a great hair. And you're talking about inspiration behind your first film.
That scene of the house, that's actually based on a painting that Michael Mann saw, and he said it served as the inspiration for the entire of Heat. And that painting kept him going, he said, kept him inspired to it pushed him along. And as a filmmaker myself, I do know that it's odd the things that inspire you and keep you going, especially when you look at the finished film. You wouldn't think Heat, the crime thriller, was inspired by a single painting.
What's the oddest thing that's ever inspired you?
That's a very good question. Probably thinking about how lonely it is to be a young girl. God, yeah. Well, wow, interesting points we made. But no, your impression is still rings around in my head.
I tried to do it again last night when I was watching. I rewatched it last night with a friend, but I think his was actually better than mine. I feel totally lost it now, honestly.
Oh no. Anyway.
Enough about that.
So here's my little journey with the film.
Yeah.
It came out in 1995 when I was at university studying media, and from about the age of 14 onwards, I'd really gotten into movies, and especially what you would class as art house films, so a lot of French films, well, mostly French films actually, but I just liked something that wasn't mainstream. Mm-hmm. So when Heat came along and it got really raved about and critically well reviewed, and all the people I knew who'd seen it said, you're going to love this film, you should go see it. So when I went to see it, my head was in the artist, only abstract films or things that are pushing the form or are making a point. Only those are true films, right? So I was like, this has got 2 Hollywood stars in it, and it's men with guns and bank robberies, and of course I appreciate it was really well done, but I remember thinking at the time, no, it's not for me. That's not what cinema's about. And over the years, as I've gotten a bit older and probably just got less pretentious, the film has only just grown in stature in my love of it. I think it's a film that I now just think, this is a masterful example of American filmmaking at its finest.
Totally. So wait, so what did you kind of think of it as a standard action film or something?
No, I knew it was superior.
Yeah.
There was no denying its quality. I just think I was going through a phase where I needed my images and my sound to have layers and layers of subtext and meaning, which The thing is, Heat does have that.
It does.
But it just did. I know. I was just young. What can I say?
Well, I was going to say, I think most of that would have gone, the subtext of the film and what it's really about would have gone over my head when I was a teenager, I'm sure.
But also, I think what it means is I was looking for different things.
Right.
Subtext for me was more like abstract images, let's just say, like
and symbolism, maybe
symbolism, but all in the kind of the editing and so I was valuing different things much higher than the things that Heat excels at and has in it, So,
yeah.
Whereas now, as a 40-something, I'm like, you know what, this is just an incredibly well-made film. And yes, of course, it isn't like a French film, but it's not meant to be. If we did a black and white version of Heat in French,
oh my god, that'd be amazing. That's what they're doing for Heat 2, actually.
What's that?
It's going to be black and white and in French.
You had me there for a moment.
I know, really? I really like your look of us and like, babe, where did you read that, you idiot?
Where the hell did you read that?
Because we're being quite topical, so it's a great time to be re-recording because Heat 2, the book version, came out last summer, right?
I don't know. I think it came out like a month ago or this month. Since I heard about it, and I think I sent you a link about it.
Yeah.
I've kind of not really read much about it because I think I want to just enjoy the story. I either want to read the book, or I suspect what Michael Mann's doing is drumming up interest to get a sequel film made.
Oh yeah, I've looked. There is an IMDb page for Heat 2 already. But they've got no other information, no timeline or anything like that. So who knows?
Well, maybe at the end we can do a little predictions for Heat 2.
Oh yeah, love that. Yeah, let's do that. Well, I've already given you my best one, but I'll try and think of some others. I guess we should probably get into the plot a bit. Should we do that?
Yes, absolutely. It's for those who haven't seen it, it's a crime thriller, and it follows the team who are going to take down a big bank heist, and then it also follows the detectives who are hot on their trail, unbeknownst to them. So it's a film that's constantly balancing out. You're seeing how the criminal world works, and you're seeing how the police world works, and you kind of seen how similar they are in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's kind of top line, it's kind of cat and mouse, and it mainly focuses on Al Pacino's character, Vincent Hanna. He's the detective, and then Robert De Niro's character, Leo McCauley, who's the head of the gang. And you quite quickly understand that they're both top of their game, right? This is like an expert criminal who knows exactly how to carry out a robbery. Because you see, the very first scene, you see them successfully carry out a robbery. Right? Well, almost successfully. They get the money, but... Yeah,
it's a classic case of why is this story happening now? Why are we following this particular robbery right at the start of the film? Because that's the thing about a lot of films is it's why are we watching the story right now? Why have we chosen this point? And the reason is because for the first time I get the impression, the first time ever, they've had a last-minute letdown or change of plans, and they've had to draft in an outsider, character of Waingro. And so that's why we're watching the story now, is because we're seeing what happens when their tight-knit gang has a rogue element in it, and what happens is the film that unfolds.
Exactly. Well, the events that unfold from that lead to Vincent Hanna starting to track them down. That's kind of top line, that this is like cat and mouse, them trying to carry out heists and whilst becoming aware that they're being followed by the police. But then what makes the film, I think, what makes it actually like a really great film and like many layered is that as important to that is the kind of domestic lives of the two protagonists. We see Al Pacino's marriage and how that kind of is dysfunctional and falls apart throughout the course of the film. And you learn that Robert De Niro's character, he's pretty much a lone guy, but he meets someone and you see how the cost of that to his way of life. And that's really well drawn. And that's really what the heart of the film is about, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's the cat and mouse is like the drive. Mm-hmm. That's what's making all the characters do what they do. Yeah. So that's the engine. But what it's really doing is that engine, that dramatic engine, is fueling this the drama that comes around that, because suddenly Neil's got somebody in his life who he suddenly values all of a sudden. And that's a hard and fast rule is you never have anything in life that you can't walk away from when the heat's around the corner. And then we also see the effect of what, on the flip side of it, that bringing these kind of people to justice, what kind of man is good at doing that, and what does that mean for the people in his life, like his wife, like Christine? You know, she has such good scenes with Al Pacino. When I was watching it again this time, I just thought she may not be in the film much, but oh my god, every scene she has counts. Like I was thinking that the scene when they've had the. It feels like all the policemen are out with their wives for an evening.
Yeah.
And then he goes because there's been somebody murdered. Wayne Grow murdered a prostitute. And he comes back and she's just waiting for him in the dark, empty, quiet bar. And it's just a very well acted, dramatic scene where she kind of states her position and the effect that he's having on her.
Exactly. This is Justine, by the way, played by Diane Venor.
Oh, sorry, did I say Christine? I do apologize.
No. You didn't say Christine. Just we kept calling her she, and I was like, crap. What is her name? Yeah, Diane Venor. She's amazing in that role. Because you're right. It's funny because there's most of the conversations they have are her saying, "You're not really here. You're a ghost in your own life." The conversations that they have are really, they're very kind of philosophical and emotional and kind of about them as a couple in this kind of broad sense of how he approaches his life. There's not a lot of chat of them just, what we're having for dinner. It always, she brings it to that. And it's the same with Edie and Robert De Niro, right? Edie is the woman that Robert De Niro meets quite early on in the film and they start to have a relationship. And again, they both talk about loneliness, how they are and how they feel about life and their place in the world. It's always these big conversations, which should be cheesy, but it's so well acted maybe, or maybe the dialogue is just so well put together that it makes you really kind of ponder life.
But you're right. I was thinking this as well because I was just reading a few bits of the screenplay before we started recording just now, and it is what makes it work because some of the stuff on the page they've clearly rewritten it or reworked it when they filmed it because some of it on the page does seem a little cheesy. It's like, but that's what good directing brings to it. That's what good acting brings to it. Is that these things that maybe read a little bit stiff.
Oh, really?
That's what makes. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I guess it's all part of this process because you just think there's a version of Heat that might have been a bit cheesy, that might have missed the mark, that might have been a bit generic. But this is what happens where you take the source elements of bank heist, cops and robbers, and when you really work on making it grounded and believable. But it is interesting what you said about the conversations that the characters have, because if they did have domestic conversations about what we're doing for dinner or that kind of stuff, it would suddenly become a soap opera. And this is like almost an operatic feeling drama, isn't it? And I suppose you needed characters to be talking about big themes. But as you identified, and that's a very good point, is that you kind of don't notice it at first. You don't notice that every conversation is like about their relationship and what they mean to each other. I guess that's what good acting and good directing, it grounds it. You don't think, they're talking about some big issues, because most conversations we have in real life aren't these constant big conversations, but that's what I want to see in this kind of film.
Yeah, even though ostensibly these conversations between Justine and Vincent Hanna, they're about their relationship. She is really talking about him and how he is and what the cost of that is. I mean, this film, it's so existential. Both the men in it don't really want to be attached to the world. I mean, that's the whole point. What Robert De Niro says twice in the film, he repeatedly says that his guiding principle in life, and in order to do this job, you have to have no attachments. You have to be able to just, when you feel the heat around the corner, as you said, you have to be able to just go. And that's why he, lives in this house with no furniture. He never has relationships up until this point. And Vincent Hanna, even though he's married, he treats her like they're not really connected at all and that he has no real connections. It's almost like he has decided there's no meaning in this world. I see so many dark things every day in my job. So the only purpose I can get from life is just to focus all my attention on doing the best job I can at catching these criminals. it's a really grim perspective on LA.
Yeah, and then he says that in order to capture these criminals, to keep his edge, he has to keep his angst inside him.
Exactly. Which, again, that is like a mad thing to hear in a film, don't you think? And it still works. Like, the acting is so good that you're not thrown by this bit of philosophical language.
Yeah, I know. He is a character who can go from like comic over the top conversation or interactions with people to then these like profound moments with his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's all a coping mechanism, isn't it? Because he uses his humour and his wits to unsettle the criminals that he works with, and he's cutting himself off from his wife because he believes that is what gives him his edge against tracking down these criminals. It's like justifying why he's cut off and remote.
It's a very long film, right? It's 3 hours long.
Yes, just under, I think. But you know what? Heat is one of those films where I start watching it, and then next thing I know, it's one of the few films where I think it really draws me in. Once you put it on, because I know the film quite well now. You know, you look forward to all the things that are coming up. It's like each scene or each set piece is something that you're looking forward to because they're all really strong. They all deliver. They've all got dramatic punch.
Yeah.
Like Dennis Haysbert's very minor character, the guy who becomes the getaway driver in the heist. He gets a little setup. You meet his wife.
I cried in that. There's that scene where him and his wife Lillian are talking because he's gotten out of prison and has started working at this cafe, and he's been treated terribly, and he's really downhearted afterwards, and they meet, and she says she's proud of him, and it's just the most moving scene, which is incredible that she just met these people, and that they are definitely a very small part of the film that could have been cut out. It wasn't really necessary to have them in there. But as it kind of, from every angle, you're being reminded of how tough it is in this world that they live in, how grim it is, and how many people are out to kind of treat you badly, but there is still, but there are these connections that are still going to stay with you and support you.
And I think that possibly is one of the things that helps ground it a little bit, is that we don't have any direct experience with being kind of career criminals, but we've certainly had. But every character acts in ways that we recognise. So that conversation between just Dennis Haysbert's character and his wife, it's a very real and human response. So it just reminds you that, I don't know, I think you relate to them a little bit more than you might do if you just saw them carrying out the heist, if you didn't really get to understand their lives.
But having said all of that, the scenes of the heists are amazing. And
my God, they're so good. It's like, because if you want to know how to make a film, a good all-round film, I think Heat is like, it's a good template to try and emulate. I think Christopher Nolan's had quite a good career in part by emulating the look and the feel and the kind of solidity of the story of Heat. So it delivers on the drama, but then when you get to the bank heist bits, it feels as grounded, as well researched as the human drama, the action sequence. It doesn't suddenly take off and become a hyper stylized action film. It's the same characters, and you've spent an hour and a bit with them, and now you see them in action. It's great.
Well, because there are a few different heists that they carry out earlier on in the film. But the pinnacle is this one that they know at this point that they're being trapped by the LAPD, and it's really high stakes. And I mean, really, they should just not do it. I don't know what the hell is wrong with them, why they decide to do it. But they do. They're like, let's just do this one last one, and then we're out of here. And so they go.
Well, but they almost don't do it. Because remember the three of them, the three ringleaders of the group, which is Val Kilmer, Tom Sizemore. Sorry, I forgot the character's name. Chris and Neil.
Chris Sherlizan and Michael Chirito. And Trejo is the other guy, though he's not really, he's kind of like a weird smaller part. They don't give as much time to him.
Yeah, he's very much a supporting member of the crew, but they stand round, don't they, and they discuss whether they're going to do the heist or not. And it basically comes down to Michael Chirito having the deciding vote.
I mean, he did not, but the thing, already Val Kilmer had said, yeah, I'm up for it. I'll do it. I'll do whatever you want to do. All of them were always going to say yes. They are addicted to it. That's why it's this. Yeah. I mean, that's the sort of I don't know if irony is the right word, but this concept of, we're going to do this with no attachments till we feel the heat. Well, babe, you're feeling the heat and you can't walk away. So clearly they're just addicted to the rush of the whole thing. It actually made me think I really want to watch a documentary about an actual career criminal, because what motivates you to want to do this job? It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole film, the whole of Heat, is based on real life criminals, a real life criminal, real life cop. So from the 60s, and Michael Mann spent a lot of time with the character who Neil McCauley is based on in real life, and he even wrote a script and made a TV movie called LA Takedown that's like a prototype of Heat. And so he made that in the 80s, and then he kept working on the script. So this is a story taken from real life, or at least inspired by it. It's not a true story, but like polished over the years.
And I mean, that scene itself, when they have the heist, I found myself on a army blog, a military website, and they had a whole article about the firefight scene following the heist in Heat, and how that's actually used by Marines. They show it to like new recruits as an excellent example of how to cover each other into fire, because the way they fire their guns is so realistic, and reloading, and the way they protect each other as they're trying to get out of fighting with the police.
Michael Mann sent all of the cast who would go involved with the firefight. They all got training on like a firing range for months, not just like a day. They spent months, and there's behind the scenes footage of Robert De Niro, on a firing range going around with a gun, and that again helps. They look like they know what they're doing because they can. And specifically, there's a reload sequence with Val Kilmer's character where he's reloading a magazine, and apparently that's used by a lot of like military training people to say, if you can reload as fast as this character here, then you're doing well.
I hope Val Kilmer's very proud of that. One thing he shouldn't be proud of, though, is his hair. Is his hair not the most... I remember watching it the first time thinking, is he wearing a wig? He must be wearing a wig. But no, his hair is just very wiggy anyway. But then, I mean, the high point of the movie is at the end when he goes to find his wife. What was her name?
It's Charlene Chileris.
That's it, Charlene. Yeah. He goes to find her, but she's actually being kept in police protection because they want her to kind of rat him out. And he arrives and he's cut his hair off, so it's much shorter.
I hadn't noticed.
And
I
thought it's kind of amazing that she signs to him to let him go so that he won't be caught by the police. But I thought, God, if anything, I'd be like, finally, your hair is great. No, I'm going to run on with you.
So little thumbs up for the hair, but also...
That's it, yeah, because she does a very subtle little sign. It was actually a thumbs up. It was a love the hair, but get out of here.
How would you communicate that subtly? Love the hair, but get out of here. I hadn't even clocked, that's funny, because it is quite a 90s hairstyle, but also... Oh, here's another thing I'd like to pick up on, actually. The hair possibly is a good jumping off point, is watching it again... He's managed to make a film that is set in the 90s, but he's definitely made it timeless. I mean, we're now 25 years later. I would say, of course, it's set in the 90s, but...
It's so 90s, James.
But I know. I'm not saying it is, but it's like that's the best version of it. It's like when you see a film from the 1940s and it looks kind of, even though it's clearly the 1940s, it looks classy. I think that's more...
No, you're right. It is totally timeless. I mean, I've watched it 3 times in the last 5 months, and each time it's so watchable. It's so good, and it's almost like when I was watching it again last night, we just kept being like, wow, I love all the sort of 90s techie stuff. They talk about all these plans for how to do the heist, and then looking at spreadsheets, and it's so 90s, and it's so and honestly, I'm thinking, professional criminalism, criminalism, is that a word? Professional crime cannot be what it once was, surely, because of all like CCTV everywhere and like how everything is online. It's obviously, this is so stupid to even say, I'm sure obviously it's all about cyber criminals now, but it's so fun to watch them planning to like cut wires, turn off CCTV.
Yeah. Because
break into warehouses.
And that's also fun to watch because a film about hackers behind computer screens, I mean, it can be fun to watch, but there's not as many opportunities for fun, dramatic things to do.
Seriously.
You want your criminals to be active and to be doing things because that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Cybercrime may be less risk and more money, but it's just not going to be that exciting to watch.
Yeah, I feel sorry for those criminals these days. It's just not nearly as chic as it used to be.
Because Christopher Nolan definitely was inspired for most of his films from watching Heat to put everybody in suits, put them in suits. Like you watch a Christopher Nolan film, everyone's wearing suits all the time. He made his first film in the late 90s, a few years after Heat had come out.
No, that's
so
true.
It was
They do wear a lot of suits in Heat, don't they? I hadn't even noticed that.
Because if you want your fashions to be timeless, put people in suits. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's also something in Justine's styling. She really looks very Audrey Hepburn. And I don't think that was like a big 90s thing. That makes her look pretty timeless. Well, it really has this nice throwback vibe to it.
I was noticing that with her styling is that she's often wearing black, so she's silhouetted and she's got like a very simple kind of bob cut. And I love it because, again, don't go high fashion. Keep it stripped back, simple.
Yeah.
And she's like... That feels a bit like the female equivalent of wearing a suit. Keep it simple, black, stripped down.
Yeah.
But the one thing I noticed about the suits, though, for the men, I'm like, they seem a bit big. The suits seem a bit big.
Much like with the phones, like the constant phoning people very much dates that film. I mean, I really enjoy it as a real phone movie, but similarly, those suits that could not be more 90s. Yeah, they are really fitting. I feel like we've just gone on about how great it is. Is there anything that you think is what are the bad points about the film? That sounds a bit negative, but anything that's not so great.
There's nothing that jumps out. I mean, we could say that because the whole premise is it's about these kind of two guys. So you might say that it's not very female centric, but the female characters who are in it, I think, are well served, even though they may not be the focus of the film. I certainly do think that the scenes that when they appear, they are given something interesting dramatically to do.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it doesn't pass the Bechdel test, I don't think, because none of the women talk to each other.
No, they don't.
But I agree
That's a very good point,
that they are really well drawn and they seem to have full lives themselves, even though we don't really see them. So I didn't have too much problem with that. The scene with the girl who's killed by Wayne Grow, I do kind of hate that. That seems unnecessary and. Yeah, why do we need a child prostitute just for no reason in a movie, really? So I didn't like that too much. But that aside, there are so many films about white men having crises of one kind or another. But if you're going to do one, you should do it well. and there is something broader that it speaks to, I think, that like, I don't know, actually, there is something very gendered about that. Like, it feels so specific, actually, to 90s in a way. Like, it's a very timeless movie, but this feeling of being an individual and not wanting to be attached, it kind of seems to tie very much into the 90s anyway, this kind of post-Reagan era of disillusionment with money and finance capitalism, and also the position of men that was becoming so destabilized by various ways of feminism getting in their way. So it is kind of a gender film, but it's very, if you're going to do a film about that, do it like this.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like this is the best, this is an incredible version of that kind of film and those kind of issues.
And it's not criticizing them. Neither of these men end up in great positions, spoiler alert, but one ends up divorced and one ends up dead. So it's definitely taking a critical look at this approach to life.
As much as I find both the leads charismatic, they are clearly problematic men, and I think they're not trying to be sold to you as like hero types that you should admire. And I think that's, again, a sign of a good drama, that we're quite engaged by two charismatic leads who we don't particularly like, but we're still fully invested in their story.
Yeah, totally.
So I was just thinking that we could think of what would we do with Heat 2, the sequel? Because I'll tell you this, if it does become a feature film, which I'm pretty sure it will do, it'll be Michael Mann's first ever sequel. He's not done any sequels to any of his work. So this is Michael Mann thinking, for Christ's sake, this is how you get big movies made these days. They have to be based on something.
I don't know if it's going to get made, because you heard about LA Confidential, right? About how Brian Hegeland, he approached Warner Brothers to make a sequel, and he'd got Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce on board. All of the old cast were up for it.
I did not know any of this.
It's not had funding. It's not happening, which is quite devastating. I really liked that. Confidential. I'd have been up for a second.
Yeah, I love that.
There's no guarantee. I've got to tell you that.
No, I agree with you. I think that's why he wrote the book. I think he wrote the book so at least the story's out.
Right.
But also he's hoping. I think he's hoping that, and I think it's working, is that the book is generating a bit of hype and interest of itself, and then that can be a springboard.
Well, I also meant to say at the top, which I definitely forgot, is that he is now on Netflix. So everyone watch it, and I'm sure they partly put it back up there because of Heat 2 coming out. It came out
absolutely, and watch it on your headphones on Netflix as well, because Netflix have got this feature now where you get surround sound over headphones. So pop your headphones on, you'll have a great time.
You know, I put this chair at the end of my bed last night and put my monitor on top, so we'd have like a more deluxe version of rather than just my laptop on my lap as I usually watch films. I meant to take a picture to send to you, because I didn't do headphones because obviously I was watching with someone, but I connected my speakers to it and everything. It was like it's like the James Brailsford effect. I was like, how can I make this
finally
close to something you'd approve of?
If one thing comes of this entire experience of us working together is that I've slightly elevated the cinematic experience for Lily.
Babe, it's like sky high now compared to where it was before. Like, but yeah, okay. So Heat 2. So what in your mind?
So the one thing I will say, I do know that he's written a prequel sequel, right? Which is he's going Godfather 2. Because Godfather 2 is a prequel sequel. You know, Godfather 2, you get the backstory of the Godfather from the first film. So you get the backstory, that's prequel. Then you get the continuing story of his son. So he's doing that with Heat 2. So I'm assuming the obvious thing for the prequel, it's got to be Neil McCauley's character, because he's dead. So then the sequel element. It would be a waste to have done the prequel element with bloody Vincent Hanna.
Do you reckon? Because then they can follow Vincent after.
Yeah, but I think the smart money, if I was Michael Mann, is I'd want to involve Natalie Portman a bit more. So I would make the sequel story more about her, perhaps. And the problem is, everything I say, it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's like maybe she gets involved with like some criminal stuff. So it's like,
Babe, I had a very similar thought. I was imagining that Edie, Robert De Niro's girlfriend, she finds out she's pregnant. And so the sequel is her getting involved with the criminal gang because she needs to make some money, because, she's only done a bit of graphic design for a small record label and a restaurant. So she needs some more money fast. And so she gets the gang back together. Maybe, we could go proper, feminist post-Me Too reboot, and it could be all the ladies, all the girlfriends getting together, hustle style. No, not hustle. What was it? Widows, and carrying out some heists to fund her baby's future.
Is that a film you would like to see?
Absolutely not. It sounds terrible.
It sounds awful.
This is the first thing that comes to mind.
But hilarious. It's like
no, I think we're right. We should stick to the black and white French version. That would be much better.
Yeah, that'd be much better. But yeah, I think on the prequel element, I was thinking, so it'd be young Robert De Niro
in
character.
Like the 70s, maybe.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it should be like his first score. It should be what gets him sent into the slammer. But I also think we need, but because what we also need, we need him to meet the person who tells him that you can't have anything in your life that you can't be prepared to walk away in 30 minutes. Because he says it's some guy inside the slammer.
Yeah, he says that the first time. I think he says because he's saying it to
Chris.
To Chris.
Yeah, I've got the script here because in the film it's kind of unclear who the guy's name is, and when you watch it, it's you can see that they've dubbed it over, that he said something else, they dubbed it, and it's like Jimmy something.
Right,
because
I watched it with the subtitles on, and I was like, oh, they said a name, which I definitely didn't notice the times before.
Yeah, I forget the subtitles, a good idea. But yeah, but I think we need to see that character in the film, because that's where the phrase heat comes from.
I have to say that the subtitles were quite funny in this one. At one point, it should have said that Scots guy, called him a Scotch guy, and and there's another bit where someone says no Holmes, and obviously meaning like homie, like short, an abbreviation of homie, but they spelt it like Sherlock Holmes, as if Vincent Han had been nicknamed Sherlock because he was such a great sleuth.
So typos on subtitles.
Yeah,
that's a spin-off podcast for you there.
Well, actually, it would be quite a great. Well, I was going to say an Instagram account. You could probably, but you need it to be video. It's a TikTok. Maybe it's a TikTok thing.
There we go. There's a TikTok offshoot.
So maybe if we ever do a Groovy Movies TikTok, that's what I can do with it.
There we go. We've got our opening concept.
But yeah, no, I'm into that. I think Heat 2, actually, I would genuinely watch that because he becomes such a top of his game. Like, so it's so fun to watch him because he's so hyper skilled and good at what he does. It'd be quite fun to see him in his early career.
Same. And the other thing I think is, do we give him like it doesn't feel quite right, but part of me thinks, do we have to see him walk away from the love of his life? Do we have to see him realize that to pursue his career successfully, he's got to leave it all behind? I'm not quite sure that's right, but possibly.
I think what it is it should be that the love that he had at that point betrays him. So
she walks away from him.
Yeah, she more than just walks away, but betrays him. She's the one that gets him put in the slammer. And so that's what makes him think, actually, no, you can't have any attachments. You just got to be able to walk away because you can't trust anyone. It's all about making it on your own.
Okay, I quite like that. Yeah, I'll buy that.
Okay, great.
Excellent. And in the sequel, I'm not sure, but I just think Natalie Portman has to get involved with crime somehow, because that then gives us a contemporary crime story to follow. But I'm not sure what or how.
Yes, because I don't think we said before actually, but Natalie Portman plays Justine's daughter, Vincent Hanna's stepdaughter in the film, a young Natalie Portman who is still brilliant even at whatever age she must have been, I don't know, 14.
And it would be foolish not to have her as like quite a main part of a sequel if you were to make it. You would really want to make her a feature of it.
Absolutely.
We can't just have her going to meet her real dad who doesn't turn up again as a little cameo. 20 years later, he still
has a crap dad. I love that we never actually see the dad in the whole film. I kind of enjoy that when a character keeps being mentioned, but you never actually, they don't bother to show you.
Yeah, I like that. It's like the adults in Charlie Brown. You always hear their voices but never see them.
Exactly. Okay, great. Well, if Heat 2 ever comes out, we should definitely review that and see if our predictions have been accurate.
Absolutely.
And if not, maybe we could do a spin-off book club and review the book instead. Because I'd be interested to see if Michael Mann is as good a writer as he is director.
I know. I'm very intrigued by this. I notice it's a co-written with somebody, so maybe he's the big ideas man, and then somebody else does the nuts and bolts. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I guess that's it then.
It's been a wonderful chat, and thank you everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. Please do like and subscribe and give us 5 stars if you like us.
Please. Thank you.
And we'll see you next time for more Groovy Movies.
See you next time.
Groovy Movies is produced and edited by us, Lily Austin and James Brailsford. And James also produced the theme music.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Groovy Movies Pod, or email us groovymoviespod@gmail.com.
For more information about the films discussed, check out the show notes.